If you spent any time at all looking at health trends online, you've definitely seen it. Apple cider vinegar, or ACV, is literally everywhere. It's praised as this miracle cure for just about everything under the sun. But what's the real story behind this pantry staple turned wellness superstar? Okay, let's dive in and really separate the facts from the hype.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll start with those incredible claims you see all over the internet. Then we'll dig into the science that's supposed to back them up. After that, we're going to see what happens when those theories get put to the ultimate test in a real-world experiment. And finally, we'll pull it all together and figure out what it actually means for you.
All right, first up, the pantry panacea. I'm sure you've heard some of these before, but let's take a closer look at the wild promises being made about good old apple cider vinegar.
So is this for real? Is it actually the internet's favorite health hack? I mean, the claims are seriously impressive. Health and wellness sites have basically positioned ACV as this super simple fix for a whole bunch of really complex problems.
Okay, claim number one, and this one's huge. You'll see it from sources like the Daniel Plan, that ACV is an energy and blood sugar stabilizer. The whole idea is that it can stop those energy spikes and crashes you get after, a carb-heavy meal. Next up, it's pushed as a powerful digestion improver. A lot of people swear by taking a shot of it before meals, hoping to stop bloating and just help their digestive system run a bit more smoothly. And then there's the big one, maybe the most popular claim of all, that it's an appetite crusher. This is huge for weight management, right? The thinking is that a little ACV can make you feel fuller, longer, and cut down on those pesky cravings. So you have to wonder, where do these ideas even come from? Are they just made up, or is there some actual science behind the buzz? Well, let's take a look at how ACV is supposed to work. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because the theories behind the claims are actually pretty plausible. First, there's research suggesting that the acetic acid in vinegar can help lower your blood glucose after you eat. Second, it might slow down how fast your stomach empties, which means food stays in there longer, which could, make you feel full. And third, some studies show it can improve insulin sensitivity by a pretty decent amount, like 19 to 34%, during a high-carb meal. So on paper, it all sounds really convincing, right? But the question is, does it hold up in the real world? A good theory is one thing, but it has to hold up under pressure. So how do we find out if this is all just theory or if it's actually true? Well, that's where clinical trials come in. And before we jump into the study, you gotta know what a randomized controlled trial, or RCT, is. This is the absolute gold standard in scientific evidence. It's designed to get rid of any bias by randomly putting people into either an experimental group or a control group. This is how we find out if something really works.
Okay, so with that in mind, let's look at a 2020 study that put one of ACV's biggest claims to the test: its power to boost energy and endurance. I mean, think about it. If it really stabilizes your blood sugar, you'd totally expect it to give athletes a serious edge, wouldn't you?
The setup was a classic head-to-head challenge, simple and effective. You had one group of athletes who drank an apple cider vinegar drink before hopping on a stationary bike. The other group, they got a standard commercial sports drink. Then, the researchers just measured how long each group could go until they were completely exhausted. And this brings us to the moment of truth. Time for a dose of reality. Let's see what the data actually showed. This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? After all the hype, after all those plausible-sounding theories, did this humble pantry staple actually give athletes a performance boost over a product that's specifically designed for endurance? And wow, this chart says it all. The ACV group lasted, on average, about 4,238 seconds. And the sports drink group, they lasted about 4,258 seconds. The difference between them was just 20 seconds. Statistically speaking, they were pretty much identical. No real difference at all. So the bottom line is this. The study found that ACV gave athletes no real advantage when it came to endurance. For this key measure, the internet's favorite health hack, well, it just didn't live up to the hype. But hold on, because this is where it gets really interesting. There was one significant difference between the two groups. The athletes who drank the ACV actually had much higher levels of ammonia in their blood when they hit exhaustion. And you might be asking, okay, so what? Why does that matter? Well, ammonia is a fatigue marker. It's something your body produces when you're physically exhausted. The more of it you have, the more tired you feel. So in this study, the only real measurable difference the ACV made was actually a negative one.
So if ACV didn't really show a strong effect here, what does a real performance booster look like in a scientific study? Let's switch gears for a second and look at a different study to see what a powerful, clear result actually looks like. This one is about combining high-intensity workouts with cinnamon for weight loss.
Now, check out this table. The group that only did Tabata training lost 5.7% body fat. The group taking just cinnamon lost about 3.2%. But the group that did both, they lost a whopping 7.86% of their body fat. See that? That clear, combined benefit, that's called a synergistic effect. It's a really stark contrast to that tiny, insignificant difference we saw in the ACV study.
So, after all that, what does this all mean for you? Let's wrap things up by separating the hype from what can actually help you on your own health journey.
So, what's the big takeaway here? Apple cider vinegar is the perfect example of a wellness trend where the hype has just completely outrun the science. The claims are massive, and the theories, they sound plausible. But when we actually look at the hard evidence for one of its key promises, boosting endurance, it just doesn't hold up. Now, that doesn't mean it has zero benefits, but the idea that it's some kind of miracle cure, the evidence for that is pretty darn weak.
And really, that leaves us with one final thought. In this whole pursuit of health, is the real goal to find that one magic bullet, that single miracle cure? Or is it about patiently building a whole toolbox of small, proven, healthy habits that all work together over time? It's a pretty useful question to ask yourself the next time a new wellness trend goes viral.